Hello, this is James Busgard, President of Nevada Exploration, and I'm here with Wade Hodges, our CEO. And this video is an accompaniment to the news release we put out this morning describing the results of the first few drill holes at our South Grass Valley project. Note, as we describe our results and our upcoming plans, there will be some forward-looking statements. Our goal here is to walk our stakeholders through the results and explain why we're so excited about what we're seeing. Right now, we're looking at a drone video flying over the project. And before diving into the latest results, we're going to first take this opportunity to zoom out and clearly outline what we're looking to accomplish with these first wide-space drill holes.
Okay, so this flyover is going to give us a good sense of the scale and a sense of the job at hand. The reality of exploration is that no matter how good our targeting tools, drilling is still very expensive. And we need to be strategic and systematic in how we place our holes. At every stage of exploration, we need to tailor our search strategy and tools for the information we need at each scale of investigation. At the scale we're looking at right now, it's important to remember that the extent of the economic mineralization at a large Carlin gold deposit may only be a few hundred meters across. Thankfully, we know that the gold mineralization at large Carlin gold deposits are surrounded by geochemical footprints, defined by a characteristic suite of pathfinder elements. And these footprints end up being much larger than the mineralization itself. And this is very important because firstly, it means that we can use wide-space drill holes to get positive indications of a Carlin-style system before we get close enough to see large gold values. And secondly, it means once we found a footprint, we can use those pathfinder elements to vector towards where we hope to find the economic mineralization.
So knowing that the footprints surrounding Carlin deposits affect large volumes of bedrock, with our first phase of drilling at South Grass Valley, we're looking to check two very specific boxes. Number one, is the area of golden groundwater we're seeing at South Grass Valley associated with a Carlin-style hydrothermal system big enough to be associated with a major deposit like Cortez Hills or Gold Rush? And then number two, does this system contain large volumes of hydrothermally altered bedrock containing elevated Carlin-type pathfinder elements? To test for a Carlin-style footprint at South Grass Valley and then to vector towards potential mineralization, we set up our drill program with 3 fences of east-west holes across what is generally our north-south trending target. These fences are spaced approximately 1,200 meters apart, with drill holes along the fences spaced approximately every 400 meters. And the fences are set up across what our air mag suggested is a large area of favorable lower plate bedrock coincident with the high concentrations of gold we're seeing in groundwater. For the first phase of drilling, our plan here has been to drill about half a dozen wide space holes spread out between all 3 fences. If there is a large Carlin-type system at South Grass Valley, then we should be able to see thick intervals of hydrothermally altered carbonate host rocks containing significant concentrations of pathfinder elements, hopefully across multiple drill holes. So, as we announced this morning, with the first 4 holes completed and with assays back now for all of holes 2 and 3, we're very pleased to share that this is exactly what we found. And now that we've checked the boxes in terms of what we needed to see in the early wide space drill holes, we're ready to begin the next phase of drilling, which is vectoring towards mineralization. We've bundled up the assay data and core photos from holes 2 and 3 and shared a link to this package in our news release, and we encourage everyone to review it. What we'd like to do here now is highlight what we feel are the big takeaways from the program so far. So let's go through where the holes are located and what each one encountered in terms of type of bedrock, alteration, and pathfinder geochemistry.
Okay, we begin here at hole 1, at the west end of the southern fence. We started here to try to get an early hole in a place where we expected to have shallow gravel cover, close to some of our highest gold and groundwater concentrations. While we did find shallow bedrock, it turned out to be a granitic intrusive unit, which while often found in and around Carlin-type gold deposits are poor hosts for mineralization. So we stopped the hole and moved to the north while we interpreted the geophysics at this end of the project. From hole 1, we moved up here to hole 2 at the western end of the northern fence, about 800 meters east of the outcropping lower plate seen here at Goodwin Butte. Hole 2 hit bedrock at 185 meters from the surface, and it went right into the lower plate, which continued all the way to the bottom of the hole at 585 meters. So a more than 400 meter thick sequence here of the favorable lower plate carbonate host rocks we needed to see, which is excellent. As you can see in the core photos we've shared, and as described in more detail in the news release, within this thick package of lower plate, there was a 235 meter thick interval of intense and episodic hydrothermal alteration characteristic of large Carlin-style systems. With the assays now back for 2, we know that this alteration is associated with highly enriched Carlin-type gold deposit pathfinder geochemistry, which again is what we needed to see at this stage. Looking at the bedrock we're seeing in hole 2, compared to what we see in nearby Goodwin Butte, the units are similar though not the same, which suggests the presence of a major structural offset between them, which could prove to be important as we begin to understand what controls the potential mineralization in the system. From hole 2, we moved about 1,300 meters down to hole 3, towards the eastern end of the middle fence. Hole 3 entered bedrock at 174 meters from the surface, and like hole 2, went right into lower plate, which again continued all the way to the bottom of the hole, this time at 497 meters. So like hole 2, another very thick section of the favorable bedrock that we're looking for. Compared to hole 2, the units in hole 3 appeared to be stratigraphically lower down in the regional sequence, more like the units we see towards the bottom of hole 2, which suggests another major structural offset between these two holes. While the units are different, the style and intensity of alteration in hole 3 is analogous to that in hole 2, and seen over similar thicknesses, which is important in terms of confirming that this system has affected a large volume of bedrock over a large area. Also, as in hole 2, the assay results from 3, which we've shared in the downhole strip logs, confirm that this intense alteration continues to be associated with a largely continuous, thick section of enriched Carlin-type gold deposit pathfinder geochemistry. After encountering what we needed to see in hole 2 at the northern fence, and then in hole 3 in the middle fence, for hole 4, we returned to the southern fence to see if we could pick up the system another 1,200 meters to the south, and still within the area of our original higher than normal or anomalous groundwater chemistry. Based on the gravity and air magnetics, we expected hole 4 to hit bedrock in the down dip side of a major high-angle fault zone that runs parallel to the north-south elongate target area. And so we expected bedrock to be considerably deeper, which is what we saw. Hole 4 encountered bedrock at 377 meters, about 200 meters deeper than in holes 2 and 3. While deeper, the bedrock in hole 4 was again lower plate, right down to the bottom of the hole at 640 meters. Based on our early logging, hole 4 shows similarly intense alteration over similarly thick intervals to those seen in holes 2 and 3, as well as intervals near the bottom of the hole with an increase in silicification as well as visible pyrite, which is all terrific. Based on what we've seen in hole 4, we believe that this system extends at least 2,500 meters along strike. And with the assay results back from holes 2 and 3, we have confirmed that this system has the budget of pathfinder elements we need to see in order to move on to the next stage of the program. With these first few holes, we're very happy to share with our stakeholders that we've accomplished the objectives of the first phase of the program. We've delineated thick intervals of hydrothermally altered favorable carbonate host rocks containing significant concentrations of pathfinder elements across multiple wide-spaced drill holes. Big deposits have large footprints, and that is what we're looking for, and exactly what we found. Our plan is to now tighten the drill hole spacing along the fences and begin systematically vectoring towards potential mineralization by following increasing concentrations of gold and supporting pathfinder elements. And this is what we're doing here now with hole 5, located approximately 400 meters west of hole 4. At hole 5, we're looking to encounter the same stratigraphy that we see in hole 4, though hopefully closer to the surface. Hole 5 now appears to have hit bedrock at 158 meters, closer to the surface, more than 200 meters higher than in hole 4, consistent with our expectation of it hitting the up-dip side of the high-angle fault zone. It looks like, again, we're into the lower plate, so everything is going well there.
With our next holes, we expect to continue the same process of offsetting our holes on both the middle and northern fences. And we look forward to being able to continue to update our stakeholders at each major milestone.
At the same time as we're excited about zooming in and continuing to drill at Southgrass Valley, I think it's really important and appropriate at this milestone to highlight the significance of where we've come from with our program. We began looking at the entire Grass Valley, a 500 square kilometer covered valley immediately south of Barrick's Cortez complex. This is indisputably one of the world's most prospective search spaces within one of the world's most prolific districts. And yet it sat there, wide open for us to explore because the traditional exploration toolbox is simply not equipped to cost effectively and systematically explore such a large covered space. By incorporating groundwater sampling at each stage of investigation, we've been able to systematically evaluate this completely blind covered search space and focus our efforts into a project that now shows the hallmarks of a large Carlin-style system. We clearly have a lot of work to do yet. This is the exact type of target that, had it been exposed in the ranges, would have seen millions of dollars of drilling and exploration. These are the exact type and quality of exploration targets that the industry's pipeline is desperate for. And these results at Southgrass Valley represent a major step forward in validating the ability of our undercover exploration program to identify these sorts of high-quality exploration targets undercover. With that in mind, we think that these early results at Southgrass Valley speak to not only the merits of this particular project, but also to the value of our hydrogeochemistry-supported exploration program as a whole, including our other projects. So stay tuned. Drilling continues. And thank you very much for your support.